Senator Abdul Ningi resigns as leader of Northern Senators Forum hours after being suspended for 3 months over 3 trillion naira budget padding claims. The court hears how former CBN governor awarded contracts to wife and other family members. And outside Nigeria, Kenya to pause police deployment to Haiti. South Africa's electoral body fires official over official document leak. Tonight on Politics HQ, the Nigerian Senate has suspended Senator Abdul Ningi following claims he made of irregularities in Nigeria's national budget. This amidst a rowdy session today at plenary. Now, what should Nigerians make of today's developments? Also tonight, more abductions in Nigerian schools despite the promises made by Nigeria's federal government to rein in insecurity. Now, is there any hope in sight for Nigerians? We have discussions ahead on Politics HQ. My name is Kofi Bartel. Stay with us. Welcome. The Nigerian Senate has suspended former Senate Deputy Leader and Chairman of the Northern Senators Forum, Senator Abdul Ningi, for 3 months, asking him not to participate at all in the activities of the 10th Senate. He can't represent his people for 3 months. The Senate also resolved that if Ningi writes a letter of apology during that period, he shall be recalled, may be recalled to the Senate to resume his legislative activities. Of course, we know what transpired over the weekend when he made some claims regarding alleged Senate pardon. Well, he was given his chance to defend himself at today's plenary, resume plenary that is, and Ningi said that he was misquoted by the Nigerian media. He said that he never mentioned or said that President Bola Tinubu was running 2 budgets as it was reported. However, the man doubled down on his earlier claim of irregularities, and he opened up a can of worms, it could be described, when he revealed that the Senate today does not know how much the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and his principal officers are earning. That the Senate does not know how much or how many vehicles that he bought with the amounts budgeted. Now, the House was further thrown into a rowdy session today when Senator Agom Jarigbe, who represents Cross River State, raised an alarm that some senior senators in the upper chamber got 500 million naira each, while he, Jarigbe, got only 75 million naira. Now, that threw the Senate into a rowdy, state. The resolution to suspend Ningi was signaled to a motion by a chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, I must mention, Senator Olamilekan Adeola, and on the allegations raised by Ningi, of 3 trillion naira budget pardon in the 2024 Appropriation Act, and that passed by the National Assembly. All right, he's made several allegations. Of course, the presidency has come out to react to this. But earlier, after that motion, or before that motion, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, in an additional prayer, had asked the Senate to suspend Ningi for 12 months. That's 1 year. Or we can say 180 legislative days. That's how many days they meant to spend working. And he was seconded by Senator Edeh Dafinone. An additional prayer was moved by Senator Asuquo Ekpenyong that the suspension be reduced, from 12 months to 6 months. A motion seconded by Senator Barinada Mpigi, River State. The additional prayer for suspension of a period of 3 months, down from 12 months, was raised by Senator Musa Garba Maidoki. He's of PDP KB South, and he was seconded by Senator Sani Musa, APC, Niger. So you can see the bipartisan nature of what's going on. Let's remember that the presidency yesterday responded to the allegations. We must point out, budget padding, and they came out to deny any involvement in any such practices. Now, we must inform you that following his suspension, Abdul Ningi has today resigned from his position as the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum. Our guest tonight to do justice to these developments, Liberal Shoma is a legal practitioner, lawyer, and analyst. Libro Soshoma, good evening to you. Thank you so very kindly for your time. You're looking quite nice in your Benue attire.
Thank you, Kofi. I'm Benue by marriage. So
all right, fantastic.
I'm representing my in-laws.
You have good eyes. You have good eyes. Let's let's start by trying to understand. Some Nigerians are asking, what is budget padding? It's not the first time we've had a budget padding. Ali Ndume, who spoke today, has had his own episode, I think, in 2017. Abdul Jibrin had his own episode in 2016. What is this thing called budget padding?
Yeah, budget padding. I think those words were first used by Abdul Jibrin, the then chairman, Appropriation Committee of the House of Representatives, I think in the 9th or 8th House. And it simply means, budgets as submitted, figures are added to budget as submitted by the executive. Budget is usually prepared by the executive and scrutinized by the legislature and before passage. And so when they say something is padded, that means something is added to it. Remember, Abdul Jibrin then said that the budget that was passed, that the legislature added a lot of projects, that were not in the original budget as sent by the National Assembly, by the executive to the budget as passed. But that issue had long been laid to rest by the court, when the court ruled that the National Assembly is not a rubber stamp, and that so they have a right to add or remove from the budget, and that they not being a rubber stamp, you can't just throw a budget at them and say, look through it and give me back. They have a right to raise questions, and where there are claims that cannot be substantiated, they have a right to remove, amounts, and they also have a right to, if they feel that some areas had not been properly covered, they have the right to also raise budgets in those areas. I think it's in that regard that some of the senators, somebody like that Senator representing Cross River, who raised alarm that some senators received the 500 million that he was talking about was not cash in their pocket. It was constituency projects. 500 million voted for constituency projects in some senators' constituency, while some got 75 million or less than 100 million. So let's clarify some issues. It's not cash in their pockets, because
I was thinking that it was maybe it was a prayer in their email.
No, it wasn't prayer. It wasn't prayer alert in their email. It was constituency project. What he meant was that some senators, principal officers mainly, and it is normal. That is why they fight for position. Principal officers will always attract more projects to their constituency, to their senatorial district, than non-principal officers. And ranking senators also will attract more projects to their constituency or senatorial district than others. So those are the discrepancies that you saw there. And so budget padding simply really means, like it happened, even this budget that we are discussing, if you remember, when the National Assembly submitted this budget, please permit me, when the President submitted the budget, the Presidency submitted a budget of 27.5 trillion. They proposed a budget of 27.5 trillion. And then the National Assembly increased the budget by 1.1 trillion. They added projects up to the tune of 1.1 trillion. That is what brought the budget to 28.7 trillion. So if it was before now, you could say there would be allegation that the budget was padded with projects amounting to 1.1 trillion by the National Assembly, because what was submitted by the executive was a budget of 27.5 trillion. But the National Assembly added projects to the tune of 1.1 trillion. And because the court had ruled that they had the power to so do, you no longer call it budgets. You no longer call it padding. In other climes, once a budget is once an item is budgeted for, it is deemed appropriated. It is only here that when a budget is, something is budgeted for, when it is time for appropriation means releasing the fund to carry out that project. Once it is time to, appropriate the fund, the ministry goes cap in hand to beg for the funds to be released. So it is in that light that I think Senator Ningi raised an alarm that the budget has prepared and passed. I think it's a question of semantics, or lack of proper explanation on his part. What I think he was trying to explain was that the budget ordinarily has items, appropriation to the tune of 25 trillion, that about 3 trillion had no line items. And what he ought to have done would have been take time, get your consultant or whoever to bring out those items one after the other, and then submit it. So
please permit me permit me to zero in on what you've just said. Then let's analyze what Senator Ningi is saying. And it's great you've taken us to that point. We have a budget of 27.5 trillion naira presented by Mr. President to the National Assembly. The National Assembly adds 1.2 trillion naira to make it 28.7 trillion naira, like you just said. Now, Ningi, like you just said, is saying that he has hired consultants. They've looked at everything, used the word line by line, and they've traced 3.7 trillion naira of projects. They don't have a location. They don't have you can't trace them to anywhere. So what do you make of that? Is that not padding?
You see, no. Let's get one thing clear. Padding is the budget as presented, what was presented and what was passed. What was presented, like I said, is 27.5 trillion. The National Assembly added 1.1 trillion, and it became 28.7 trillion. So when you now say there are some items budgeted for, but they do not have location, what you need to do at that point is a thorough scrutiny and harmonization, because it's an indictment on the Appropriation Committee.
But he says he has done that. In fact, he came to the Senate with a pile of documents.
That's what I'm saying. So when you went, you are a senator, you were a member of the Appropriation Committee, you are a ranking senator. When you notice discrepancies in a law, mind you, the budget is a law, you don't play to the gallery. What the Senator Ningi did was play to the gallery, mercy after death. Those pile of documents should have been presented as a principal officer of the Senate, should have been presented before his members.
Yeah. But Libros, I'm sure you're aware that there were complaints by some Nigerians that this particular budget was hastily passed. In fact, nobody saw the bill. Nobody saw the bill till it was passed.
Let me tell you, all of this dancing and playing to the gallery, for me, is not the job of the Senate. We are discussing what transpired with the budget passage. Nigerians have complained. A senator has taken his time to hire a consultant to look at the budget line by line, and in the process of scrutinizing, conduct what I call a forensic analysis of the budget. He discovered that about 3 trillion naira, which is what the Senate Appropriation Committee ought to have done before even passing the budget. He discovered that about 3 trillion naira were budgeted for, but there are no specific projects. Take, for example, you say construction of 20-kilometer road, 2 billion. There is nowhere, it just stated construction of 2-kilometer road. It is not stated where that road would be constructed. What a forensic analyst does at that time is to present these materials before his colleagues in the Senate to say, I think we made a mistake in the job that we did. How do we correct the mistake that we made? What he basically did was to first and foremost go to the press, go to the public, throw accusations. He came up with accusations that he had to recount, saying that the presidency was implementing two budgets. The one as passed by them and a different budget not passed by them. That is not the position that he's now trying to explain. That's what I'm telling you, that the two allegations are different. The budget as passed by them contains a lot of flaws, a lot of mistakes that he pointed out. He wasn't analyzing a different budget. He was analyzing a budget passed by them. The moment he identified those flaws, they were the ones that oversighted those flaws. What he should have done was to call his colleagues to say, we made mistakes in analyzing this budget, in passing this budget. We failed Nigerians. How do we quickly correct all of these anomalies? But he threw allegations at the executive to say that the president
but Liberals, does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Does it matter how Ningi and Kawu Sumaila, how they went about this? Or should we be looking at the allegation and trying to sift through what this man has said to know where this is coming from and to follow the money?
The first step is the allegation. How is it presented? As a lawyer, no matter how strong, how good your case is, the manner in which you present your case will either help the case to stand or collapse the case in its entirety. So as a lawyer, we are taught to be thorough and we are taught to be
but the man was speaking.
Allow me, please.
All right.
Allow me, please. You asked me a question.
Go on.
So now you raised, the first allegation was that there are two budgets that are being implemented. Are there really two budgets being implemented?
He said he didn't say so.
The answer is no.
He said he didn't say so. Liberals, do you speak Hausa?
He said no. He said so.
No, today he said he didn't say so. In his opening statement, he said he was misquoted.
Let me. We were discussing what transpired, and I listened to that speaking from the beginning to the end. In the message that Senator Kawu also read, that this message emanated from Senator Ningi.
No, that was a newspaper's interpretation. Sorry to interrupt you, Laborers, but that was a newspaper's interpretation.
You asked me a question.
Yeah.
The question is simple.
Yeah.
What was stated, what was presented, and what is the issue? If you miss the point, what happened today, the issues, you will now leave, he left the issues completely. It was when his colleagues now hanged him on the cross that he was now going to what he should have gone into right from the beginning. What he should have done from the beginning, that Nigerians would be following, that we ought to be following, would have been, like they said they had a meeting in the Senate President's guest house, where he raised these issues. And he said he has contacted a forensic expert and that the job was almost 20% done. And so, when you now completed the job 100%, what was the essence of that meeting? The essence of the meeting was to point out these discrepancies. The moment that forensic analysis was done, you go back to your colleagues because this budget was passed.
So Liberals, you are saying that he should have covered it up. You're saying that he should have kept it amongst them.
Look,
are you not happy as a Nigerian? Are you not happy that this information is available to you?
What's the benefit for me? What's the benefit for me? What's the benefit?
Well, at least you know there's something worth looking at.
No, it would have been beneficial to me if the man had professionally handled this matter and that 3 trillion naira that allegations or discrepancies that he realized are corrected corrected, and possibly those projects identified or those projects pointed out, or the money returned to the coffers.
Liberals, but you seem to be more interested. Yes, you seem to be more interested.
You see my problem with you, Kofi.
Yes.
You see my problem with you.
Liberals, please, we're having an interaction. Go.
Let's have a conversation.
I was just about to ask you a follow-up question.
Stop jumping into my thoughts. Stop jumping in.
I was about to ask you just a follow-up question.
Wait. When you ask me a question, allow me.
But I've allowed you to talk for long. I just want to ask you a quick question.
No, what that does. Please,
okay, let me allow you land.
Ask me a question.
Let me allow you land. I'll allow you land, Liberals. Go on.
We're not having a conversation because at the end of the day, the discussion is
I'll allow you land. We don't have all day. That's the problem.
The question is, now that you have, I don't want to use the word, he has used immaturity to spoil the fantastic issues that he raised. Should I be clapping for him?
So Liberals, can I ask you my question now because of time?
Yes.
It's a conversation, like you said. You seem to be more interested in the manner in which Senator Ningi and by extension Kausu Maila went about this accusation than in the content and in the accusations themselves. Senator Ningi did not break. Sorry, sir. Can I just make my point to ask my question? Did Senator Ningi break? You're a lawyer. Did he break any law? Is he bound by any law, constitution, not to express himself in the media to say this is what I've discovered on Tuesday? I'm going to go to the floor. I'm going to make this point. I'm going to submit my evidence. Is he bound by any law? Does the Nigerian constitution not guarantee freedom of expression? Should we not be looking at the content? Where is this 3.7 trillion naira coming from? Rather than professionalism.
You as a professional, as a litigation lawyer, I am duty bound to present my case technically. So at the end of the day, I'll be able to represent my client very well and present the issues. The first thing is, you are denying that this is what he said, this is not what he said. No. The first thing is, you come out to say there are two budgets. Mind you, it is the National Assembly.
But he said he didn't say those.
Please, will you allow me?
Please, sir. It's just an interjection. I'm sorry. He said he didn't say those.
Let's have a conversation. What is the federal government responding to? What did the federal government, in your prologue just now, you talked about the federal government had responded. What did the federal government respond to? The federal government responded that there are no two budgets. So what that means, what the other colleagues are quarreling with, that they have now left the issue. They have left the issue. They are not quarreling with the fact that there's an indictment on their part that they passed two budgets, or that there were two budgets, one as passed by them, which is 25 trillion, the other one that is being implemented by the federal government. And they said, no, the budget that we passed is 28 trillion. That is where he
Liberals, why are you not allowing me? Liberals, why are you not allowing me? You want to sit down and you don't want me to ask you the questions. And when you started, Liberals, please. When you started, I gave you a lot of time. Liberals, can I make my point? Please, I beg you. Can I make my point, sir? Please.
Kofi, when you ask me a question, allow me answer.
Can I make my point, sir? Please. With all respect to you, I hold you in high esteem. And in as much as you have, if I chip in, bear with me. You can always say, okay, you want to proceed. Now, let's move on. You seem to not be hearing me when I'm trying to tell you that the man, Ningi, today, on the floor of the Senate, picked up the report and he said the Nigerian media misinterpreted the interview he gave to BBC Hausa that anyone can go back and listen to. And you seem to be still pointing at that when he has come out to say he never said so. Now, I want to ask you a question, sir.
Did you answer my question? Okay.
So why are you taking the one? Why are you taking the one the papers are saying, not taking his own?
No. What is the federal government? See, you're taking one of his statements and leaving out the other. I am telling you that the man, ab initio, was the one that spoils his own case. Look, let me tell you. The Senate passed a budget of 28.7 trillion. There are discrepancies in the budget passed as identified by him. He said they went for a meeting and he pointed out these discrepancies and said the job was in progress. Now, these discrepancies, I am not saying they are not there. Now, what the government, you have a brilliant case, a very fantastic case, but your attitude, your presentation was very faulty and flawed. And so you have given opportunity to whoever it is now to cover their tracks. That's the problem I have with Ningi.
All right.
Look,
okay.
Let me tell you, to explain further to you, you said your analysis that the job was not completed. You needed to complete it. What was the essence of the meeting with the Northern Senators in the home of the Senate President or in his guest house to point out those discrepancies? And after you have identified those discrepancies, simple. You do not need to go and say the
all right. Liberals, I'm sorry to interject you. You have to bear with me, because if I don't interject you, we would not be doing like things like going on a break, timing ourselves and everything. Okay, so please bear with me anytime I interject. I have more questions for you. I have more questions for you. We have to go for a break. I hope you don't be offended at that. We have to go for a commercial break. I'll be right back.
I'm not offended.
All right. We'll be right back. Let's go pay our bills. We'll be right back. To talk some more regarding this very heated topic. Stay with us. And welcome back. It's still Politics HQ right here on News Central Television. I'm Kofi Bartels. Stay with us. Liberal Shoma legal practitioner, looking at today's developments in Nigerian Senate, where Senator Abdul Ningi of Bauchi Central, he's of the People's Democratic Party, was suspended for 3 months following claims he made of alleged irregularities in the 2024 budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want to go back to Liberals. Yes. What do you think led to Abdul Ningi's mic being turned off when he was trying to, to talk and maybe give some details of the documents? That's number one. The microphone of Senator Kawu Sumaila was also turned off when he was going through some budgetary items that he didn't understand and he felt needed to be looked into. As he started looking at them, his microphone was turned off as well. Senator Jarigbe of Cross River State was also had his mic turned off when he was trying to say, 500 million naira worth of projects, like you said, was allocated to each of the senior senators, and I only got 75. Why were their microphones switched off or turned off?
Do you know why? I like following these NGO budgets? Because Nigerians, as an analyst, as somebody who takes time to do a lot of research, I see a lot of Nigerians, we are more interested in facade, in the sentimental issues, than do our homework and detailed analysis or thorough investigation of what, had transpired. First and foremost, I'm not a senator. I wouldn't want to go into the mind of the Senate President why microphones were turned off. I won't go into all of those sentimental issues because Nigerians will belabor themselves with those issues. I would rather, as a person, as a research, lawyer, go into, allegation has been raised. The way and manner that allegation was suspended, was raised, was very wrong and faulty, and it cost the man rightly, by their rules, but the time I will query with, the tenure I will query with, suspension. But I would rather go into, this budget has passed. What are these items that were budgeted but do not have locations? I would rather do my research, independent analysis, and go into those areas because, first and foremost, the budget has passed. 28 trillion you have 9.92 trillion for recurrent expenditure, 8.25 trillion for debt service. When this budget was passed, I did raise an alarm that why should we be spending about 8.25 trillion to service debt? In all of this discussion, nobody's talking about that huge amount that we're going to use to service debts.
Right.
And the sum for capital expenditure is just 8.7 trillion. That's about 500 million, about 450 million differentials between what we are using to service debt and what we are using for capital project. So in this capital project, quickly, in this capital project now, there is an allegation that about 3.1 trillion of the 8.7 and cannot be traced to verifiable projects. And that's why I'm angry with Senator Ningi. So now we are using almost the entire budget for recurrent and to service debt, and just about 5.2 or 5.7 trillion, 5.6 trillion for capital project. Who does that and you expect the country to progress?
A final question for you.
Where our concern should be.
Yeah.
And not whose microphone was
A final question for you. Interesting. A final question for you. How does what we call a constituency project, how does it improve governance or enable corruption?
You see, the challenge here is the fact that we operate a fidibotto system of government where everybody rushes to Abuja for development. Everybody rushes to Abuja for infrastructure. And so, because the states local governments have been turned to salary-paying agents, you have a situation where lawmakers, ordinarily, who should be making laws, are now carrying out the functions of the executive. And when they do not embark on constituency projects, their constituents do not see them as having done anything. And so, another way, this thing, and that also aids corruption, one way or the other, because you nominate a contractor, because it's the lawmaker, it's his project anyway, it's the one that will nominate a contractor. Even though the federal government will pay for it, kickbacks from contractors alone, because it's like you're selling your project. You sell your constituency project to a contractor and it returns kickback. That is why some senators will quarrel that some senators, not just for development, but that they have more constituency projects. That means they are going to get more kickbacks than the rest of them. And these monies are monies they use to come back to fight re-election. So that brings me back to the issue of financial autonomy for our local government. Because if our local government, these are projects that local government ordinarily should be executing.
All right.
So if the local government are executing this project, there will be no need for somebody at the National Assembly to say he wants to construct borehole, he wants to construct, what do you call it, he wants to buy keke napep for his constituents. These are projects for the local government. But because we operate a fidibotto government, everybody goes to Abuja and expects to bring something back home to give their people. These are ways we also enhance corruption in our political space. So the 8.7 trillion that we're talking about now, if you remove that 3.1 trillion that they have been traced, that we are not even doing analysis or looking at how to identify those line items, the total budget, the total expenditure, capital expenditure will be 5.6 trillion. And that's where we should focus our mind on.
Liberals, thank you.
Senator Ningi missed it big time. He missed it big time.
Maybe you're looking like a senator yourself. Maybe probably need to sponsor a form for you so you can go there and
you can't. You see the crisis here now.
We have
the
to go.
Problem here.
We have to go.
In that place, sorry. You have to play by their books, by their rules.
All right.
No matter how much you think you catch a thief or catch a thief.
Well, I'm sure you do well. I'm sure you do well
To expose that thief.
I'm sure you'd be extraordinary. And probably you might cop one or two suspensions. Thank you very much, Liberals. We appreciate your time. We have to go. Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you. It's always fireworks when we have you, but that's why we always want to have you, because you're extraordinary. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, we have further conversations. His name is Liberals Ashoma, public affairs analyst and lawyer. And we have more explosive conversations. Stay with us.